80% of men's female friends are just failed talking stages, and I will die on that hill. Okay, and now what? Okay, this is not the case for me. Okay, that's not my life. But what if those people were able to have enough emotional maturity to navigate past whatever capacity in which they met? What if? You ever think about that possibility? But let's talk about the conversation that nobody's trying to have. Like, let's name the thing. Because the truth about the matter is, it's possession. Let's just call it what it is. Like, you guys try to navigate, men and women can't be friends. You cannot control yourself around the other gender once intimacy is happening. That's just what it is. If you feel in your heart of hearts that men and women cannot be friends at your core, if a man says that, listen, weird, kind of grapey vibes. And if a woman says that, also weird, you have a roaring inner, like ain't no war. Like it's that makes you feel like you cannot have that kind of control around the opposite gender. And that's just what the truth of it is. And a lot of you, there's another group that just cannot understand, the extreme codependency group. They cannot deal with the thought of having a partner who has had any sort of previous navigation in the nuances of opposite genders with someone else, and ultimately knows how to like move around that confusion. And it bothers you that there's someone going to be there someone was there before you, and there's someone going to be there after you. That idea is what is haunting you. And I understand it completely, but if we're going to talk about it, let's name the thing. I'm a big fan of naming the thing. That's all I'm going to say. Name the thing. Many of you are uncomfortable naming the thing. You want to do hot takes and you want to run away. You want to do hot takes and you want to run away. No, cold steps. Let's talk about the thing. Now, in the 2000s, there was a research called by the Hasselton and Buss, and in the research, it just showed that basically men tend to like over perceive sexual interest in women, right? So basically, men would be the only ones who would like escalate things and try to see attraction in their female counterparts, mostly because it was a survival thing. Like the logic was, for men, it was like, I'd rather risk embarrassment than to like risk not passing on my gene. And in that experiment, it just proved that for men, it was more of a biological thing. It wasn't like it wasn't like a creepy thing. Like you try to make it like 90% of the time, most men are the ones who find attraction with their female counterparts. It was just, men just think it's a survival thing, ultimately, biologically speaking, of course. And I'm using science because I know some people are going to be like, oh my God. No, let's just chill. It's just science. If you want, you can start your own research paper. Anyways, moving on. Then you had another one in the 1999, Eagley and Wood. And they did one where they basically showed that our gender roles are basically from our, social norms. And we only apply them based on whatever society has imposed on us. Now, the current society we're in, the modernized, progressive, more equal rights embracing, there have been more areas in which men and women can find friendship. And in an egalitarian society like ours, we can find new spaces to have that, where there are interests, where there is not like information being exchanged, whatever it is, whether in the workforce or in our leisure. Now, if you believe, right, that men and women cannot transcend biological primal state of being into being something more, evolving into something more, right, that can navigate relationships outside of the need for intercourse or the romantic, you tell me. That's up to you. If you believe that we are carnal animals, then everybody, bars are awful. Take the limits off. Everybody lose your minds. We can get popping. Let's go crazy. But that's up to you. If you believe men and women can be friends, that's that. But the data shows that men and women are capable of evolving into that. Like, if men and women can do it, they're capable of evolving. If you counter that, you're saying that they're not capable of evolving. And there are many more experiments. There was another one in 1988, and the experiment basically showed that women were more likely to take the role of nurturer, take the role of emotional coach and therapist. So they would take on all this emotional burden, and men tend to see them as essentially a place to rest their burden, which creates an imbalance in the relationship. But women then created the zone that we all know as the friend zone. Okay, this little vortex, this little portal that you go into, and it feels like a void, but it's not a void. It's a survival technique. Essentially, From that friend zone, she is trying to figure out where you can best serve her in her journey. Now, again, I understand some people are triggered. Some people who've been in the friend zone, some people who have been observing outside of the friend zone, some people have been above the zone. Those of you who have been in the area, whatever it is that you're going through, understand that is not what I'm talking about. I'm just using empirical data to address the situation at hand. Okay, let's just talk about the thing. That's all I'm big on, right? And there have been many more experiments. There was this one called Bleshek Rattel, and it was in 2012 or so, and it was with 88 opposite sex friendships. And ultimately, what they found was that men, right, would always find attraction with the women more than the women found attraction with the men. And this was something that was consistent across the board. It just kept on happening. And ultimately, I guess attraction was what brought about the end of the relationship. Now, every single one of them, right? Some people were able to govern themselves and like navigate out of it. But again, it all comes down to boundaries, intelligence, emotional maturity, and all of that. So you have to ask yourself, if you don't believe in it, what are you saying about your relations with the opposite gender? Is it every time you're in a room with a man and you find likability with him, there is a pivot in your brain? There's a possibility of that in your head. You got to ask yourself that question. You got to be transparent. So like, rather than coming on the attack and saying, men and women can't be friends. Hey, why can't men and women be friends for me? Like, why can't I work with the opposite gender in that capacity? What about me is, a little, wrong. But then if we're going to bring it all down, right, wrap it all together and be honest about what the situation is, right? Statistically, it's proven that dopamine and oxytocin are released when you spend time with an attractive friend. Whether you like it or not, whether it is platonic or not, the brain cannot discern between the two, scientifically speaking, again. And understandably so. But there are a lot of things that we do that the brain cannot discern what is feeding that dopamine and oxytocin. We just feel it, right? But do we act on every single thing? I don't think so. So, brothers and sisters, let's be guided. Let us be guided. It is important for us to be guided. Like, it is important for us to be guided when we talk about these things, because when we just mouth off opinions and say these things, it can be very destructive, very damaging for people who don't even like to get more information or know about this stuff. So now, let me get this straight. If you are the kind of person who you want a partner who is a Bambi, a complete, clueless, naive, no prior experience of navigating gender politics between both sides, then by all means, live your life. Get you somebody like that. You want a naive little person that you could ultimately, God, that's called grooming. Right? Is that what you want? Do what you want. I've said this before jokingly, but a lot of y'all want pets, not partners. And it's okay. I need you to just say that. It's important for you to understand that. But if you do not want these friendships, and you do not want any alternative perspectives on life, so be it. That's also, you're welcome to do that. This is the world. This is the world we live in. We're free to do whatever we want. This is how you want to navigate it. I just really believe in accountability. So I say, name the thing. So when you say you want to hate a thing, I need you to just give a clear, concise reason as to why, rather than trying to like make it sound like you have this, pure righteous stance that you believe that you're saving. Like, y'all are crazy. For these remarks are crazy. But thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I can't stand how much y'all lack accountability as far as really getting down to the ground of your thoughts. But it's fun having these conversations. It's fun and annoying.